Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the Health and Wealth Podcast. My name is Steve Giordano. Very excited today to have probably the most special guest that I'll ever have personally in the studio, my mother, Laura Giordano. Laura, how are you today? Or Mom, as I should say.
I'm wonderful. How are you, son?
I'm terrific. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving birth. That was very appreciated. Wanted to have you on because you have been with FFL now a little bit of time. You're really getting going. You're doing a lot of good things on the side of, in-home, on the side of what you're doing virtually. So I thought it was great to have you here. So first things first, tell us a little bit about your background in business and kind of your journey to FFL about a year ago.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me here today and for doing this podcast. I think it's wonderful, and I'm very excited for you. I'm excited for me. As you said, it is about a year now that I'm with FFL. And I had made the decision with your help because I do have a sales background. I started when you were a child, when you were babies, you and your brother, to keep me home with you guys. I decided to sell Tupperware. Most people know about Tupperware. It's all American. And I just did it to make some extra income. And before I knew it, I got really good at it, found that I could earn a car, I could manage a team. I began to earn trips, became tops in the nation, was offered my own distributorship, and I was able to work with very flexible hours so that I could raise you and your brother the way that I chose to. But it was that experience that taught me a lot about sales, a lot about people, and I did that for a good 20 years when you guys were growing up. From there, I always wanted an education, decided to go to college for the first time in my life. I guess it was around age 42. Took me 8 years to get my degree. I did receive my bachelor's degree in organizational management or business management. And at the time, I took a full-time job inside sales, pharmaceutical sales. Moved along to veterinary sales. Then I got my degree, and I went into marketing and advertising. You guys were grown then and, through college yourselves. Did marketing and advertising for a good number of years, and then was hit with the pandemic. So imagine how, business would be in advertising and marketing during a pandemic when the nation was shut down. It basically did more than cut my business in half. They closed a lot of the territories that we were working. It was almost impossible to make money, very, very stressful. So, having watched you do what you have been doing. At the time, I guess it was a little over 2 years, and the success that you had, you and I had discussions about it, and you had suggested that I possibly go for my license, with my sales background and, experience with people and the work ethic that I had. You thought that it would be something for me to try. So, of course, I was hesitant, something new to teach myself, reinvent again. But I said, I'm sure I can do it. So I took a big chance and quit my full-time job and decided to jump full-time, 150%, 200% into FFL. I studied for the exam. I did pass the exam on the first try. I was very excited to get my license, started becoming contracted with the carriers, doing the boot camp trainings, podcasts, videos, for 2 solid months, I studied. I studied for the exam, and then I began studying to get out into the field. Listened to everyone that I could, especially you as the top producer, and then was ready to get out in the field. Was a little nervous because living in the state of New York, it's a little more challenging. And, you had suggested that I possibly, from Long Island, maybe take the ferry to Connecticut and stay overnight, or perhaps drive to New Jersey, work with Mark Mead and his team, and then, just kind of run maybe 2 full days a week or 3 full days a week. And I said, I can do that. So for the first 9 months, I was going into New Jersey every single week without fail. For the first few months, I would go and work with Mark's team. They would help me quite a bit. And then I would stay an additional night and run 2 full days in New Jersey, come back home, and then you and I discussed, recruiting, bringing in some agents so that I can build my own team. And that's something that I was quite interested in for many reasons, because I always loved recruiting back in the day, sharing opportunities, training, mentoring. So that was great. So the days that I wasn't in the field and was not doing dialing for appointments, I will work on, recruiting and trying to build a team. So in doing that, I've had some wins. I've had some really good wins. And of course, I want to do more. And about a month or so ago, you had Ginger, I believe, on a call discussing virtual sales. So then you and I spoke a little bit more about how I could add that to my plan and perhaps wean into virtual or add it to. And I worked on, studying the phone scripts, listening to the training on the virtual calls, and giving it a try. Working on, slides and getting everything set so that PowerPoint, I guess, and working on that so that I could work virtual sales. And to my surprise, my very first virtual sale was over a $3,000 commission.
And I just want to put that into context. I don't think I've ever made a virtual sale for $3,000. I don't know if I could. I don't know if it's not really my thing. So I give you all the credit in the world for learning that. I do want to back up a little bit because you covered a lot of stuff there, and thank you for sharing. So the first thing I want to talk about is you had a business years ago when I was growing up, I remember working in the business at 16 and, doing Quicken and your books. And where was it in your life that you said, I want to have a business at that time, early on? Like, when did you have that epiphany? Hey, I want to own a business.
It's funny because, as I said, I did not have a college education when I was a young woman and a young mom. And basically, I just, decided to sell Tupperware to make some extra money. And when I decided that I really wanted to have a business is when I saw how successful I was at doing what I was doing, how I was able to build a team. And then they shared with us the opportunities to purchase a distributorship. And I said, you know what? I can build a team. I can grow a team. And I'm going to say, a couple of years into when I was just going out doing demonstrations, selling, recruiting, I said, this would be wonderful because I can still have a business, working around my children, my family, and be successful. And I would say I was probably in maybe my mid-30s when I decided that's what I wanted.
Got it. So now, you had some levels of success. The industry kind of changed for what you were doing. Then you got into sales, got your degree, which was amazing to watch as your son. So now everything hits with the pandemic, and this is where we talk about anybody can do this business, obviously, how it's a pandemic-proof business, how we've grown during a downtime because we adjusted. We adjusted on the in-home side. We adjusted on the virtual side. The initial transition to doing insurance, what were some of the biggest kind of aha moments, some of the things that you learned after, going to a first convention, starting to run some appointments? What were some things that you just picked up on that maybe early on, maybe you weren't good at, and then as you transitioned, you got better at?
So one of the things that I've had to learn new products along the way as I, sold different things throughout the years. And I was really nervous at first about, product knowledge. And I realized that once I was out there and I started, doing my financial inventory and my health assessment with the clients, that within just a few appointments, I realized, wow, you can kind of figure out, what's the best coverage for them, a lot better than you thought you would be able to. The first few times, I would text you or, text someone for help as to, what I should offer the client. But if you're at that, the learning curve is as you're doing the job. So I've learned that the most important thing is to just do it. Get out there, meet the people, make the mistakes, just do it. Just get out there and do it. That it's in the numbers. It's going to come to you. You're going to figure it out. I really didn't think I was going to learn. I didn't realize how I would be able to learn the insurance business as quickly as I'm learning it. Of course, there's new things to learn every day, but now I can almost figure it out real quickly what I should be offering a client, how I should be working with them, seeing what's best for them with their current situations.
What I love is you've obviously reached out to me. You've reached out to people on our team. You've reached out to Sean Ruggiero to help you with annuities. So you're certainly familiar with trying to find the information and understanding that there's people here to help you. So would you say that any mom can do this?
Absolutely. I truly believe that any mom can do this. Any mom should do this because it's really a great way to make money, to meet people, to help people. And it's something that you're offering that people need. They need protection. And a lot of people don't realize how much they need it. And we're here to let them know.
Yeah. So one thing I want to kind of go through here is on the virtual front, because we've been doing it as a company for a while. We didn't really kind of move forward in promoting it because we wanted to make sure that we did it at a high level. And now there's a lot of people doing it at a high level. Like you just said, you did a $3,000 sale. You did $10,000 last month. You're definitely on your way to really ramping up your numbers. What is your process? Let's start on the phone side of the virtual, of how you present the fact that we're going to either get on a phone or a Zoom. So walk me through that.
Okay. So I basically handle a dial day very similarly to if I were running in the field. I will designate my time. My Mondays and Thursdays would be primarily my heavy dial time, where I'm dialing for appointments. And when I would call the client, of course, I would, introduce myself, explain why I'm calling, letting them know as the field underwriter, this is my job. And what I might say is, due to the ongoing pandemic, I am giving you a choice as to how you would like for me to work with you. We can work in person, we could work through Zoom, or we could work through the phone. But I do have to work with you. And I would like to set that time right now. I would like to set up the appointment, not to do it now, but let's set the date, the time. And then I will give them the same options. You know, do you work during the day? Are you home in the day or the evening? Do you work? Are you retired? And then we will choose an appointment time that will work. I'll go through the same thing. Is there any reason you will not be available at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning? Is there anyone else that you're looking for coverage for that needs to be available, tomorrow morning at 11? And I'll say that a couple of times, tomorrow morning at 11, tomorrow morning at 11.
It's good.
And then, obviously now if we're doing a virtual, I'm not asking about security gates, what color's the house, anything like that. I confirm, is this the best number to reach you at? I'll get their email address so that I can, send them the link or the reminder or whatever it might be. Make sure if we're speaking on the phone, is this a cell phone so that I can send you a text? I'll go through those types of things with them. I'll put it in my calendar the exact same way as if it's an in-person appointment. I'll ask them to do the same thing. And I will let them know that, when we meet, we're either going to apply for coverage or we will be denying coverage, but that is what is the purpose of our call.
That's good.
And then, when we hang up, I will send them a copy of my, a digital copy of my business card, and I will again, in that text message, confirm the appointment. I'll confirm it by email. And then what I do is the next morning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to text and or email every appointment that I may have for that day, again, to remind them. And, that's pretty much what I do. So I had to kind of change some of the things that I would say, gearing it to the phone, confirming phone numbers. Is this a phone? Is this a fax? So on and so forth. Is there anyone else that needs to be on the call? And that's what I do.
That's good, because you're taking the same, lockdown things that you do of, hey, I'm coming over, like you said, the gate and what have you. And then, your show ratio, we know, typically show ratios are going to be a little lower than if you showed up at the door. People forget things. What would you say percentage-wise? Maybe 40, 50, a little lower, a little higher?
I'm going to say probably about 50%. I do find that it's a little, the no-show is a little higher, but it's not necessarily a no-show forever the way sometimes an in-home would be. Sometimes if they just forgot the time, or like they'll text me and say, I'm so sorry, can we move this to this time? Can we move it to this day? I find that the moving of the times is a little bit more than if you were to, the in-homes. They're rescheduling. They're not necessarily canceling. They are, rescheduling.
That's good. So then you get them on, you've done the Zoom as well as phone, right?
I've done Zoom as well as phone. I have a few. I've also done FaceTime.
Wow.
I've done FaceTime. And because a few people that maybe were a little cautious about, I don't know how to do Zoom, they were a little nervous about it, I'll say we can also do FaceTime if you like.
See, what I love about this is I'm the technology person of the family and you're not, and you're the one that's actually selling on technology. So I'm far more impressed and all of that than anything else, because you found a way to do it, as so many have now. So now you get them on the Zoom. What is your process there in, how you present as opposed to how you're presenting in the home, and how you're taking them to the application?
What's nice about the Zoom is if you're sharing your screen, I have a very nice PowerPoint. So when we're in the home, we're really not doing a PowerPoint or slides or anything like that. So it helps you so that you're not forgetting some of the things that you'd like to present. So the PowerPoint is very helpful. So what you want to do is you want to have your, their lead in front of you so that you have their information. And then now, instead of having like the carrier sheet and anything to take notes on, now you have that carrier sheet is in your PowerPoint presentation. So you're basically showing them your license, your credentials in your PowerPoint presentation, so they see that because you're sharing the screen. And then, you're saying why, what we're going to do today and why I do it. And I have a beautiful picture of my family to show this is why I do this, and this is what we're going to do today. And then you go through the presentation and you're really not skipping a step. That's really good. And then when you get to, after you do your financial inventory, and it kind of has the questions for the financial inventory and the health questions right on the PowerPoint presentation. And you go through all of that, and then when you determine what you feel is the best for them based on their answers, then I'll say to them, well, based on what your current situation is right now, Steve, and based on what we have to offer, I believe that I can help you. And then I will give them maybe the choice of 3 if I feel, let's just say it's an Eagle Premier. I'll give them a choice of maybe 3 different, face values, 3 different premiums, and then say, which one do you feel most comfortable with? Same way that once you get to that point, it's pretty much the same that you would do in the home, but, you have the screen, and, then they go through the same thing. Sometimes they have the same oppositions that we get when we're in the home, and you have to, learn to overcome them the same way, and that's pretty much how I would get to the application. And you can actually do the application right in front of them again, because you can pull up any of the carrier, websites, the e-apps right there, and they can see everything that you're doing.
So the one you recently did that was 3,000, whatever it was. What was that? I think it was a guy. What was that gentleman's scenario as far as, like, I believe he lived in Jersey, was
yes,
it? Right.
Yes, New Jersey.
He lived in Jersey, and it was one of those things like, hey, don't have a lot of time to meet, what have you.
Exactly.
You offered virtual and then did it. Who was he looking to protect in that scenario?
Well, he was looking to protect his wife, ultimately, protect his wife. And he did have some type of coverage through his job, but he was like 67, 68, still working. But, he did understand after we spoke that he was going to be losing most of that coverage. He had another, personal coverage. It wasn't that much. The most coverage he had was a supplemental term life, through his company that he understood that he was not going to have. I think his plan was to maybe work till he was 72 if he could. We discussed what premiums would be like at age 72, the chances of getting, coverage at 72 versus age 67, how health can change at any moment. You get your coverage when you're healthy. So we kind of went through a lot of that. And he basically decided, I guess this is the time, for me to do it. And we were, he was kind of leaning towards the I want to think about it, I want to think about it. And, with the different things that we discussed, I basically said that, sure, you can think about it, but let's apply, because we have no idea if you're going to be covered. We don't know if they're going to accept you. So if you change your mind, you have 30 days. It's okay, but let's get you covered. Let's see if you qualify. And thank God he didn't resist.
One of the things that I've noticed in talking to you when you're in homes and talking to you after the fact of appointments is you picked up very quickly on the getting emotional and getting people to move, which is probably, if I had to think of things that are like the top 3 things that new agents have a hard time with, it's that. Because a lot of times new agents go in and, hey, I'm selling you this microphone, but like you might not need that microphone. And that's a salesperson, where we're problem solvers. We're finding a problem. We're finding, hey, my wife, this happens to her, or I lose work coverage or whatever. So how do you think in your first, we'll call it 50 appointments, how did you pick up on the, getting emotional and getting people to move? How did you kind of learn that, you think?
I think everything that I have ever sold, every service that I've ever offered, I've always said you need to match the benefits of what you have to the needs of your client. I don't believe in selling ice cubes to the Eskimo. He doesn't need them. He needs a heating blanket. So it's very important to me. I call it my discovery. When I am sitting with you and we're having that initial talk, I'm taking mental notes. I'm observing things in our conversation. When I was in the home, I'd be observing things in the home, and I'm listening. And I'll ask questions. And when I listen and I ask questions, I can assess, what do they need? Once I understand what they need, I work on selling or offering what they need. What do I have that will meet their need? Not so much their want, because they all want $1 million policy for $50 a month. It's not your want. It's what you need. And through a few of the training sessions, I think yours and John Mazzella and a few of the others, especially with the mortgage coverage, people think that they've got to cover their entire mortgage. And, you uncover that they own a couple of houses. They've got a good amount of equity. You kind of uncover what would happen, Mary, if John died tomorrow. Are you going to stay? Do you want to stay in this home? Can you stay in this home? And we go through the financial inventory. And when I see that, I'll probably downsize or what have you, then I know, well, they don't need to spend $700 at age 70 for a very large term policy. They really only need enough to carry them through a comfortable period of time to sell and downsize. That'll take care of them for their final expense, for a period of time to keep the house running until they can sell and downsize or sell another property or whatever it might be. And that's, you have to find what the need is and then match it with the benefit that you have, the best benefit that you can offer.
I love that because you have you've learned some very key things early on. A lot of times people with mortgages or covering mortgages, they think that, oh my God, how do I walk into the house and they're 69 and they have, this condition and they can't get term? Like, where do I go? So it's a testament to the training you're listening to and the time you're putting in to learn that to help you, in the home. So now on the side of building a team, I know you have some agents that are up and coming, they're getting going. What are some of the things that you're doing, some of the conversations you're having with new agents? You've obviously led teams before in businesses. What are some of those conversations looking like to kind of help them get moving in the field?
So basically, I share some of my own experiences, and I find that you need to be relatable to people. It's very easy to tell someone, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do the other thing. I find that if you can relate to what they're feeling and you can share your experience as to how did you pass the test? How did you study for the test? I'll share, my own experiences. I'll give some ideas on what they can do, for some better study habits, if that's what they're feeling fearful about. Basically sharing the types of training that I listened to, in what sequence I did it, trying to get to some meetings if they can, some trainings, speaking to different people. But I think being mostly relatable to them, I think is most helpful. And being available, when they call, pick up the phone, answer a text message, send emails, little quick text notes, here and there. Back in the day, we didn't have text, we didn't have email. I was very, very big on quick little notes. I always had stationery wherever I was, and I would just write quick little notes, throw them in the mail. All of our recognition pieces would come in paper, newsletters. If, we had a list of agents, consultants, whoever it was that was getting recognition, I would circle their name, put a little note, throw it in the mail. So today, now we could do it in real time, a little Facebook message, a text message, whatever it is. How you doing with the studying? How you doing with the podcast? Did you start boot camp yet? What can I do to help you? Just staying in touch and being relatable and hoping that that's going to, affect them in a positive way.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And you're definitely, going to build a big team. So if somebody wants to work with you and with our group, what's the best way somebody can contact you?
I would say a text message or phone call. Honestly, they can email, but a text, I'll take a Facebook, a LinkedIn message. I check everything every day, a number of times. Obviously, it's my phone that I'm going to see 24/7.
So give us your number so they can text you.
So you can text me at 631-790-1284. Just let me know who you are and, that you would like more information on FFL or, like to speak with me, and I'll certainly, get back.
Good deal. Love that. Here's a kind of a final thing we'll kind of leave with. How do we get Chris, who's my brother, who does sales, and he's very good at it, how do we get him to get into Family First Life? Because pretty much at this point, I have almost my entire family and friends, like Vinny, like everybody's jumping aboard the train. Chris, how do we get you going with Family First Life? What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say, as he sees your continued success, as he sees how I grow, I think, seeing is going to be believing for Chris. And I feel that eventually he will give it a try, because you're right. He's fabulous. He's got the best customer service skills that I've seen. Great personality, and I know he would do wonderful. And he likes to help people, so I believe he would do great. I think seeing is believing with Chris, and I think time will tell.
Yeah, I agree. So we're just trying to recruit everybody, Chris. So, well, first of all, thank you for all you do as a great mother. Thank you for all you do as a great grandmother, taking care of Dominic and taking care of Margot as well. I appreciate all that you taught me as I learned business from you at a young age, and also I think the courage to do it. I learned a lot of lessons of hard work, of kind of never giving up, from you and Dad, and I appreciate everything you do, and I'm really excited for the ride of seeing you grow with your production, with the agents you're helping. You have a heart to serve people. You have a heart to serve agents. And I just am blessed to call you a business partner, and more blessed to call you a mother. So love you, and thank you for all that you do.
I love you too, and I thank you so much for the opportunity, and it's been a delight to see you grow. I always knew you were meant for greatness, and this is truly great. When you were a young man, young teenager, you just chose to work hard so that you could do better for yourself in your life. I've always supported it, always encouraged it. I'll always support and encourage it. And I pray that you will realize that this is a gift from God, and that you will pay it forward. Help people, help agents, help the people that we serve, and just pay it forward, son.
Well, amen to that. So that's it, guys. Any mom can do it. This is a testament that truly we are a business that anyone, any mom, anybody can do. So thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week, and God bless. Take care.